When I started this hike, I knew there was one place on the loop that could have forced me to turn around. Not at the beginning, not halfway in, but nearly 3/4 of the way through. A steep north-facing descent that 6 weeks earlier had been covered in tons of snow and ice. And because I was hiking the loop counterclockwise, I wouldn't know if it was safe until I was already committed to most of the day. If that slope was icy, I'd have to turn around and retrace miles I'd already walked. Not because I couldn't do it, but because I didn't want to turn a 12-mile day into a 15, 16, 17 if I didn't need to. So before I even stepped onto the trail that morning, my mind was already ticking. It was working. Not in panic, not in fear exactly, just calculating. Trying to understand the risk. Trying to anticipate what might be waiting later in the day. That's what anxiety often looks like in the mountains. Not drama, discernment. And this winter hadn't exactly been gentle on these mountains. Storms had damaged roads. Storms had damaged trails, blowdowns, washouts, sections that might not be obvious until you're standing right in front of them. So I wasn't just wondering about snow on that descent. I was wondering what condition the whole loop would be in. Would the trail go cleanly? Would there be messy sections? Places where I'd need to slow down and figure out the safest way through? I started around 7 a.m., and for most of the day, it was just me out there. Almost 8 hours on the trail, and probably 7 of those hours completely alone. The kind of solitude where you can hear your thoughts clearly. And in those early miles, I could feel that quiet vigilance. Not anxiety in the dramatic sense, just attention. The kind that says, stay observant, stay smart. Because sometimes what we call anxiety is really just our nervous system trying to do the math on uncertainty. The difference is whether we let it guide us or trap us. And what the trail kept asking me to do was return to what was actually right in front of me. Not the descent hours away, just the next section, the next step, the next real decision. The trail wasn't perfectly maintained. There were sections that were blown out, little stretches where the path wasn't as clean or obvious. And there were multiple trees down across the trail. The kind where you stop, look, and decide. Do I go over? Do I go under? Do I step around carefully? Nothing sketchy, nothing dangerous, but enough to keep me present. Enough to remind me that self-trust isn't built through perfect conditions. It's built through responsiveness, through slowing down when you need to, through making one good decision at a time, and letting those decisions stack. As the morning unfolded, something else started to happen. From certain ridgelines, I could see across the valley to another north-facing slope. And what I noticed was that it was mostly clear, dry trail, minimal snow. And it wasn't proof, but it was information, a small piece of evidence that the winter melt might have been further along than I'd feared. It didn't erase the uncertainty about Waterman's north side, but it softened it. It reminded me that conditions evolve, that what was true 6 weeks ago might not be true now, and that sometimes reassurance comes not from certainty, but from observation. It's one of the things I love about long solo hikes. They pull you out of speculation and into reality. Tree down? Okay, slow down, choose. Trail washed out? Okay, step carefully, continue. View across the valley showing dry slopes? Okay, take that in, let it inform the day. And slowly, the mind starts settling. Not because the trail becomes predictable, but because you keep meeting it honestly. There's something deeply regulating about that. It reduces life down to attention and movement, breath, steps, light, sound. And when you spend most of the day alone like that, you realize how often anxiety is just the mind trying to solve the future too early, trying to know what hasn't revealed itself yet. Near the end of the hike, I had one meaningful conversation with another hiker, just a brief human moment. And it reminded me that even when we're mostly alone out here, we're still moving through something shared. People choosing quiet, people choosing effort, people trying to find steadiness in their own ways. And by the afternoon, as I made my way toward the final section, I realized something. The mountain wasn't testing me, it was settling me. Not by removing uncertainty, but by showing me I could walk with it. And then I reached the part I've been thinking about all day, that north-facing descent, that place that weeks earlier had been icy. The place that could have changed the entire shape of the day. And what I saw when I got there was simple, clear trail. No hidden ice, no slick, steep problem waiting for me. The thing my mind had been carrying wasn't there. And I felt the shift immediately. Not because I forced myself to relax, but because reality answered the question. The conditions were stable. The descent was steep but safe. And I could complete the loop confidently. It made me think about how often anxiety isn't really asking for reassurance. It's asking for evidence. And sometimes the only way to gather that evidence is to keep moving. Carefully, attentively. Willing to turn around if you need to. And that willingness is what creates real safety. You don't need perfect certainty to take a healthy step forward. You need awareness. You need discernment. And you need the flexibility to adjust as the trail reveals itself. Trust returns like that, not all at once, not as a dramatic breakthrough, but as a series of small decisions that quietly prove I can handle this, one step at a time.